welcome to With Honors, the podcast where we delve into the coolest parts of Honors English 2, all while diving into some of the crazy stories we've read this year. I'm Hunter.
And I'm Solomon. Today, we're going to be talking about political indoctrination in Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. So let's get started. Oh, so we're doing the intro and everything at the very end?
At the very end, yeah.
Sweet. After I'm all riled up.
Yeah, okay.
After
sorry.
it's all riled up.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I get the impression that half of this is going to be Solomon going, I'm sorry that we did this. I also am trying to look for like funny stuff that we can include in there because one of the episodes we had a fire drill, so that wound up being in the front. Coach Haston interrupted us. That wound up being in the front.
You can do that part where you said this is about to be the most hick podcast you've ever heard.
This is about that right there. This is about to be the most hick, redneck, cornpone podcast. All because of Hunter.
It's just me. Hey, guys.
Oh, God.
You really have to bring that mic closer.
There, I was turned away looking at
That's
Solomon.
so much better.
Solomon's a pretty cool guy, you know.
Good Lord. I'm not Joe Rogan.
I am.
Who would be? No, you're not. Who would be my podcast personality? Who's my podcast parallel? I'm not a Joe Rogan.
No. Joe Rogan's too intense.
He's way too intense.
I feel like Mr. Crockett's like...
I'm not.
He's, what's his name? Eli from the Unsubscribed podcast.
I guarantee. I've never heard of this show. I am not that guy. I
The
guarantee.
Unsubscribed podcast?
Have you not watched the Unsubscribed podcast?
We're going to do a commercial for it now. Listen to the Unsubscribed podcast.
Who is that?
That's got all the guys I listen to on YouTube on it. It's
Oh, is that like
veterans and all that stuff? It's got
Oh,
Fat
yeah,
Electrician.
yeah. You told me
all
about
them.
it before.
Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I don't.
You don't?
I
do
do.
you?
Joe Rogan, Theo
This
Vaughn.
is where all the indoctrination comes
That's
from.
right. That's exactly.
Hunter, what kind of indoctrination? I mean, what kind of podcasts do you like?
Well, I really like stuff to do with history.
Shock. You are kidding me.
No, I'm just
like what take on history? Like why the South should have won?
No, not that far back. But
I didn't
But,
know that was your favorite thing or what.
there's this guy on YouTube. He's on like several podcasts and stuff. His YouTube name's the Fat Electrician, and like he covers like World War II era and Vietnam era, like war heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear a lot about Dan Daly and all the really high ranked military.
Gotcha. So your source for World War II and historical information is the Fat Electrician? That's what you said? Mm-hmm. I love it.
Most of it's right. I talked to my AP teacher about it, and I can get some pretty good arguments, and he thinks I'm just smart. But no, I just watch podcasts.
I'm just smart.
He doesn't realize you're cribbing it from the Fat Electrician. Listen on Thursdays.
That was like where half of my communism notes came from, Solomon.
Guys.
Hunter texted me at like 11 that night when he was doing all this stuff, and he was like, "I'm going crazy." He was reading like 40 pages of CIA documents.
It
was
found
wild.
a released CIA document. It was 141 pages long, and it was of. Let's see here. I have it. I put it in here because I remember I read it, and I was like, "There's no way I read that not putting it in here." It was how the Soviet Union was indoctrinating German POWs.
Yes. Okay.
And I read through that. That was
You were
pretty
down a
cool.
rabbit hole on the dark web looking up all of this.
It was 9:30. I signed up for the podcast. Solomon gets a text at 11:30. Goes, it's just guess what I found. And it's just a picture. It's a picture of the front page of the document. And it's just a big confidential in big bold letters.
Oh, God. So it turns out this is going to be the episode that gets us canceled. I love it.
You knew it was going to be funny.
It was going to be from the start. I looked at the very first picture I took of your class the other day, and everybody's so fresh and smiley.
And then there's
Freaking Hunter sitting right there in the front corner.
I'm sitting there leaned over on my knee too.
So you like podcasts. Solomon, what do you like? He's really struggling right now.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you mean like entertainment wise?
Anything. Yeah. What do you like?
I like.
This is the first real conversation you and I have had all year.
Yeah.
I always hear from him, but I never hear from
Yeah,
you.
he's a yapper. No, I mean, I like to do stuff like outside and stuff personally.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, Hunter, I know he's like a super nerd, sits inside all the time, watches.
That's
YouTube
a load of crap.
No, I mean,
When you say outdoorsy, like what kind of outdoorsy stuff are you into?
like I live in the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
like in Walling, and my grandparents and my great grandparents, they live like right next to each other, and I live across the road from them.
Yeah.
And so I have like almost 90 acres of stuff to work
Mm-hmm.
with, and so I have like I have 2 4-wheelers, a dirt bike, and a side by side. I mean, they're my family's, but like,
Right.
and so I just like do stuff out there.
He claims he's outdoorsy, but he wouldn't climb freaking trees with me when he came over to my house.
Maybe it was just you.
I climbed the tree. He did not.
I threw sticks at him
Yeah,
when he
he
was
threw,
climbing.
he threw sticks and rocks at me, and I was like dodging them, swinging from branches, looked like Tarzan up there.
Do you ever hunt? Mm-hmm. You do?
time.
You ever hunt?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to hunt?
I like
Deer,
deer
turkey.
hunting.
Deer.
I do turkey hunting too. But
Okay.
like,
I'm just now getting into turkey hunting, but
Yeah. What about dove? You ever been
I have
like on a
never
dove shoot
been-
or anything?
I'd like to go duck hunting sometime though. It looks pretty fun.
hey, my uncle does dove hunt or duck hunting. I can probably hook you up.
Yeah. That right there is going to be like the tagline.
I can
My
hook you
uncle
up.
does duck hunting. I can probably hook
This
you
is
up.
the uncle that is not in prison, Solomon.
I'm glad.
Uncle that's not in prison. I can't wait to get an email from your mom specifically about this episode. And then an email from Mr. D. We're shutting you down.
No more podcast.
No
They
more.
can't shut you down. It was just because it was me. Freaking Mr. D loves me. We get so many viewers on this one thing because they're trying to cancel us. Freaking,
He's got a
we're gonna
point.
make so much money. I want a 50% cut, Mr. Crockett.
A 50% cut of what? There's nothing. There's nothing.
You're posting this on Spotify. You get like 5 cents every view or something, right? I don't know. I don't know how it works.
I don't think so.
How many views do you have to? I know on like YouTube you have to have like 1,000 subscribers and or something else. It's like 5 million views or 1,000.
To get
subscribers.
monetization?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what it is on anything else though.
I know
On
that our
Inst-
stuff is buried on YouTube. Anytime I go to search for it, you can never find it. So
Yeah.
it's like I have to send out the direct link.
On Twitter, you can like it's like 100. You have to get 100,000 views in like under 40 hours.
You can get paid to tweet.
No, that's how you get monetized on Twitter.
Yeah, that's getting paid.
can get
Oh,
paid to
okay.
tweet.
Well, then, yeah.
You know what the word monetization?
I had no clue what monetization means.
It's going to be
Not
on our
even a
next
clue?
vocab.
No, I
This is
thought
because Solomon cancels quizzes every day, and I can't review vocab words with you.
It's not my fault. I'm the only one that reads what you tell me to read every night.
It's not my
Nuh-uh,
fault.
I read it too
We're
because
going
it's
to
about
cancel it.
it's Mark Antony. I have to read it. He's like such a cool guy.
Yeah, me and Hunter read it Monday night.
I
at,
was
like,
so mad
9
you
o'clock.
wouldn't let me finish off Mark Antony that me and Solomon called.
He played
like,
the part really well, by the
at
way.
night, and I was like screaming at him over the phone. Like,
While you were sitting in the tree.
Yeah.
no, I wasn't in the tree. I was in my room. My mama walked in like, "What the crap are you doing?"
Hunter, what is it with that voice? You sure you want to talk about this today?
I don't have a problem with it.
I didn't think you had a problem with it. You're sure you're ready to talk about this today?
I think so.
Yeah. Did
don't
you
know
hear how
about Solomon.
serious he suddenly got? Hunter was suddenly locked in. He's like, I don't think there's a problem with him.
It's like, do you have a problem with my government indoctrination, Mr. Crockett?
I do have a question, which we can get to whenever, but I was reading through your annotations on here,
Is it on the Benjamin Franklin part right
and
there?
he bolded and italicized and in parentheses made sure to have this parenthetic point in case an argument on the First Amendment occurs. What exactly were you envisioning when you wrote this up? Did you think that we were going to be flipping tables?
I
or-
was worried that when I got to this quote and I was talking about how, let's see here, established 1790 to burn English influenced books in the colonies, first fireman Benjamin Franklin. My whole plan with that quote was to talk about how the government banning books was against the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. And then I figured you were going to go and try and make a point off of like the book bannings in Cookeville or something. Mm-hmm. And I was going to compare like the differences between some of the books that they were banning because there's like differences between certain ones. Some of them are, I know for certain that they are allowed to ban, and it's not against the First Amendment due to what I've got written right here about
Is this what
obscenity
the dark
and
web told
indecency.
you, or what your teacher
No,
told
this
you?
is
This is the fat electrician, actually.
no. I got that straight off the FBI's
FBI guy told you this.
off the FBI's
FBI
website.
guy is my favorite listener. He's got a lot from us.
I pulled it straight off the FBI website. And it was the Title 18, Section 1470 of the United States Code, and I've got
Citing me code.
I have it all written out, and then I have the entire 14th Amendment written out on here too.
So you were envisioning that I was going to be your argument, that Jason Crockett was going to have something to say about it? What did you you said you thought I was going to say what?
I thought you were going to bring up like the book bannings and like all the other schools, and because I was talking
But
about.
in what way? Because I might bring it up, but in what way were you worried about?
Well, I was just worried you were going to bring it up, and I wasn't going to be able to argue back. So
And like, not trying to like go against what you're saying or anything, but isn't Fahrenheit, is that in the U.S.? Did it ever discuss that?
Fahrenheit takes place in the U.S.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
It's very American, yeah. Now, I don't know that we ever decided on like what specific city it's supposed to be in. Coach Hasten and I were talking about it the other day, and he thinks that it's supposed to be Chicago because it's not New York and something else.
No, didn't they meet in Chicago? Isn't that what happens at the end of the book? 'Cause they met in Chicago.
Well, Faber says something about how he's going to escape the city and go to St. Louis. And that would be, okay, that's logical. He could go from Chicago to St. Louis. But I don't know that it ever specifically said.
Well,
I
at
just
the-
think big city.
Right.
Well, he says at the end of the book where he remembers where him and what's her name?
Clarice.
No, not Clarice. It was
Mildred.
his wife,
Mildred.
Mildred. He goes,
Oh, where
I
they
remember
met.
where we met. It was, I think it said Chicago, and then the bomb dropped, and she died.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
So, yeah, I did learn something.
One thing. He did. And it didn't take a fat electrician to tell him either.
Over the 7 months we've been in here, one thing.
I'm very proud of that one thing.
Great job, Hunter.
All right. Well, cool. Today, oh, God. Today I'm sitting here with Hunter and Solomon, and they had the bright idea, the burning bright idea that they wanted to talk about what, Hunter?
Government indoctrination.
In Fahrenheit 451.
So we're going to talk about government indoctrination and Fahrenheit 451. Solomon, I'm going to turn to you as the voice of reason first.
Okay.
And ask you, like, why do you think that we should have a conversation about this with honors?
Throughout Fahrenheit 451, it's like the whole theme of the book is that like the government has banned books and like no information is getting out. And I mean, that's like it's supposed to be a dystopian future book, but how far off is it really? I mean, and we're in an English honors class, and so that's like our whole thing.
That's our whole thing. Don't you feel like we kind of harp about dystopia all through high school? And like, why is that? Why harp about dystopia?
I mean, books like Fahrenheit, like you don't really know how dystopian they really are, like how far off it would be.
Man, we really do. We sing so much dystopia your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year. And another thing we do a lot of, we heap out a lot of tragedy from sophomore year, freshman year, junior year, like all throughout high school. But we don't do a ton of comedy.
I feel like tragedies are like a part of human nature. Like they help people like grow and stuff. And so, I mean, I guess that helps like the little freshmen, you know? Like
Well, you hope so.
All the people throughout high school, yeah.
You hope so. But I also know 30-year-olds who are living a tragedy in their romance or living a tragedy in their job or whatever. We hope they learn from it. Do we learn from our dystopia?
I feel like we can.
Supposed to.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to. Like, we don't want to turn into Fahrenheit 451. We don't want.
Well, that's kind of what's happened in the book. Is
I know.
They have stopped reading their book.
Yeah, we don't want a Mildred Montag running the place, right?
Well, we don't. Do we have Mildred Montags running now?
I mean, I'd say there's Mildred Montags out there.
Is Mildred Montag a real person in this society? Is she a real person in this school?
Yeah.
Do you have Mildred in your class?
I don't think of anybody in our honors class that is that blissfully unaware.
Oh, well, maybe not even this class, but like any class that you've
Oh,
got.
most
Does
definitely
she sit in your
some other
classroom?
classes.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I feel like I've gotten away from all the Mildreds. I have all
What
honors.
a good boy.
I have like mostly honors classes and an AP class. So like,
Yeah. You like reading books?
Sometimes. I've listened all yours, but I mean, it's just easier. I drive, and then I just put on an audiobook at like 1.2 speed or something. And it's just,
Wait, you're not listening to this podcast every day? That's not what you're playing? That's not where all
no,
my
I just
plays
ran
are
out of
coming
content. I
Oh,
listened to them all, you know.
That's fair. I don't know that I do a lot of audiobooks. Do you?
I don't like audiobooks.
You've never met
I
a book
cannot
you wanted to
stand-
hear?
No, I like reading books. I just want to have the paper version. I do not.
Oh, okay.
I don't like having just to listen to it.
Yeah.
I can't follow along.
Did you see how sneery he got when he said to listen to it? Like he's looking down at you listening to your audiobooks.
Well, whenever we did the summer reading, I listened to it and paid attention, but that's because I was just at home all the time. So like I just sat in my bed and watched and read and listened to it at the same time.
It's easy
Just
to
kept up a
port
good
out into
pace.
the woods or whatever too, because you could just have it on your phone and
Right.
just listen to it wherever. I know a lot of readers in my department who love books. Like they're huge avid readers. But some people in this world get to be real sticklers about audiobooks as if they're not real books. But what do you think about that?
My mom says that she's told me that she doesn't care if I just listen to books because she says that she gets the information from it, so I probably can too.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's good with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pro audiobooks.
Yeah.
I mean, they are actual books. It's the same information, but like, I can't really process it. I get sidetracked very easily. Like, I could be walking around listening to music while I'm doing something. My ear pod could get knocked out of my ear, and I won't even realize that it's out of my ear, and I'll just keep doing my stuff. Then I'll realize, like, an hour later, I'm like, wait, I ain't got no music anymore in my ear. So I have to go and I have to find my AirPod, and it's usually out in, like, the middle of a field somewhere. So
How many times did this happen, Hunter? Do you struggle with this a lot?
a sad amount.
Cow kicked me. AirPod fell out in the field.
I had a cow kick me and my AirPod fall out. That's the sad part.
What does your dad think about it?
What does my dad think about it?
Yeah, about audiobooks, reading, anything.
He listens. So he's like
Is he a listener too, more than a reader?
His dad's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
My dad is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he drives a lot, so he's a pilot, right?
Right.
And so he flies out of Nashville, so he's like driving all the time, right? And so he listens to like war books, kind of like I mean, it's just like a man thing, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But he listens to those, and he just downloads them on like Audible and just
Yeah.
plugs in his phone and plays them the way there. So yeah, he listens to audiobooks all the time.
Okay. What about your parents? Are they more sticklers for paper like you, or what?
Nobody in my family uses audiobooks, but me and my dad don't read too very much. But then my mama, she reads sometimes, but she has to have a paper copy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know the last time that I've done an audiobook, but I do listen to a lot of podcast stuff. But I like the radio drama podcast things. And sometimes I've had a good audiobook that was a really good read of it. And sometimes you can get a real stinker where he butchers the names or they try to do funny sound effects while reading it. And it's just like, no, thank you. So that would turn me off. I don't know. I think I'm just somewhere in the middle. I just don't know that I've read enough or listened to enough audiobooks right now.
Well, in the Fahrenheit one I listened to, they did different voices for like each people, which I like. Like for the what's his name, Beatty.
Yeah.
He did like a scratchy voice, like he's like seen some things, and I liked it.
Okay. So before we get to talking about this too much, when you read or listen to your audiobooks, do you ever like imagine who would play these people if there was a movie version of it?
I don't think about like a movie version.
Really?
I think
Okay.
more towards like the people I know, like based off the character's personality. Who do I know that would fill that role?
Yeah.
I was thinking more like, I don't know, Charlie being Chief Beatty.
Oh,
Murphy.
okay. Why do you think Charlie makes a good Captain Beatty? Like why?
Well, in our AP class, me and him like argue a lot over things. So it's kind of like that same educated back and forth that Guy Montag and Chief Beatty have.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like that same back and forth.
Captain Beatty is like the devil's advocate where he's always trying to test you and
Sure, maybe I'm Charlie's Chief Beatty. Now that I think about it.
Oh,
Every time I read, if I'm really into it, I feel like I often am picturing, it's almost like cinematic. It's like I see it as a movie, probably just because I was a kid who was raised on TV and video games, and I just see a lot of actors where I think, oh, this is who I picture being that person. So I didn't know if you all were like that with audio or with, I don't know, your Gen Z, whatever you are. What are you? Are you Gen Z kids? Is that
I don't think we're Gen Z.
We are Gen Z, technically. I do not identify with this generation, but
what do you think you identify as?
I identify with the Gen Xers.
The brand new people, like the
Gen
2015.
X is like the 19.
Oh,
That's me.
Yeah, I identify with
Hold
his
up.
generation.
What are the generations? I don't even know.
The newest one. Oh god.
It's Gen Beta.
The newest one, the iPad kids, that's Gen Alpha.
Well, they've come up with another one. There's a new one.
Yeah,
It's
the
Gen
new
Beta.
the new ones are Gen Beta. Imagine your parents saying, "Oh, he's a beta."
I would be so disappointed.
I would hate my parents calling that. So many of the iPad kids are supposed to be in Gen Alpha. And then there's Gen Z, which I think is technically you all.
I think it's like 2005 to like I don't know how long it goes.
1999 to 2010, I believe, was Gen Z.
Really?
I believe so.
That doesn't sound right to me.
What about millennials?
I do not remember.
Ooh, I
Are
think
millennials
millennials
early
are
90s?
like late,
Like 89 to 99,
Yeah.
something like that.
like mid-late 80s.
Because I know that, like, on all the stuff I see on the internet, some of the older Gen Zs talk about when they were kids. It was like they were really young, but they were like 4 or 5 when the Twin Towers fell.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see them talking about that a lot.
Okay. And then there's Gen X like me, which I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm an elder millennial and sometimes I'm a young kid Gen Xer. And then there's the baby boomers back ahead of me. And then the silent generation ahead of them. Weird. And you think you side more with Gen Xers? I think there's a segment that we're going to start adding to all of this where Crockett says, I'm with the boomers on this one. So you are going to be with
I'm with the Gen Xers on this one.
Okay. Hunter, were you the one that picked this topic?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I called Solomon up. I said, I've booked us a podcast. What do you want to do? And he goes, I don't care. You pick. And that was his first
Well,
mistake.
I think I said I wanted to do like Fahrenheit because I actually liked Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I remember you specifically
No, I
told me.
said do Fahrenheit something, and you said communism. I said no, not communism, Fahrenheit. Do you remember this conversation?
No,
we
I
had?
do not.
Yeah, you said I want to do communism, and I was like, we can't do communism. This has to be honors
You
10.
told me to pick, and I said communism, and you said, I don't think Mr. Crockett will let us do that.
And then surprise, he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just
do
had to
remember
change some
saying-
wording around.
I do remember saying.
Did he email you
if
about
you
it?
think,
I
he
I
did.
emailed
Yeah,
him.
okay, I
He
thought so.
did. If you think this book is about Ray Bradbury pushing a communist agenda, and Hunter immediately, that's not what I said. And I was like, okay, cool. Because it's
I
not.
never claimed that.
It's not about that. So, Hunter, why do you want to talk about indoctrination and Fahrenheit 451? What's your answer to that?
Well, it's a really important subject in like the world we live in today, and it's also really good to go back and look through and dig deeper into the books you read.
Hopefully so, because if all you do is just pay attention to the surface of things, what's that poem that we read by E.E. Cummings? If all you do is pay attention to the surface of things will never wholly kiss you. Like, you're just going to get the McNuggets out of it.
I think I was on prior approval that day. I do not remember that podcast.
That's going to be your other podcast episode of why prior approvals are so important to high school. They get you out of Crockett's class. All right. Well, Hunter, what's the first thing that you think we need to talk about with indoctrination and Fahrenheit 451?
Well, Solomon, do you want to talk more on the right to choose and think, or do you want to do more on the right of just the First Amendment?
Those are two very, very different things there, Hunter.
I know. That's why I'm asking you to pick. I'm going to talk about both of them. You get to pick which one's first. Or you can do the Second Amendment on the last one.
Not the second one. Do the first one you said. I don't remember what it was.
Thinking.
Yeah, thinking. That's it.
On page 58 of Fahrenheit 451, I pulled this quote. It says, if you don't want a man unhappy politically, Don't give him two sides to a question to worry him. Give him one. Better yet, give him none. Let him forget there is such a thing as war. And the big thing I put emphasis on with this one was that choices, they require thinking, and thinking is limiting the control that the government has over these people. So the governments, they kind of pushed along how people were not really wanting to read, so they kept cutting it down to the point where they could just ban reading altogether, which caused less thinking, which allowed them to remove several amendments from the Constitution, like the 14th, 15th, the 19th, and 26th Amendment. And I just wanted to put severe emphasis on that because...
Severe emphasis.
Severe emphasis.
Go back to those amendments. Do you remember or do you know specifically what those amendments are about?
Well, we'll count back down. So the 26th Amendment is the one that reduced the voting age from, I think it was 21 to 18.
You're right.
And
so they're meddling with voting rights.
And then the 19th and the 15th, that was giving African Americans and women the right to vote.
Again, meddling with the ability to make choice, voting rights.
And then the 14th Amendment was the one that talks about how everybody has the right as a citizen to do, or I guess in this case, when that one was made, was men had the right or to be under the jurisdiction of laws of the state.
Okay. And then what was the other one? 14th Amendment? Oh, yeah. So is this a political book?
Somewhat.
I mean, yeah. Like, overall, like, the whole meaning of the book is kind of political. Like, it's trying to keep us away from becoming this, which was a political, like, fault as to why the book happened, like, the future, you know?
You all hesitated when I asked that question, and why'd you hesitate? Is this a political book? I think I know why you hesitate, but why do you think you hesitate?
Well, first, you yelled at me and said I couldn't do communism, but...
That's not right. That's not right. I said that Bradbury is not pushing a communist agenda, and you agree on that.
You also told me I couldn't come to this with an agenda, and I told Solomon, I said, it's not an agenda if it's right. But,
No, it is
wow.
an agenda. But again, if we come to a conversation where you only have an agenda, where you have an issue to push, then it's not so much a conversation. And that's the cautionary tale that I gave you from the research project from a few years ago, where it was supposed to be looking at exploring a global crisis. And my student just wanted to talk about how socialism bad. You know, your take on socialism, your take on capitalism, whatever. But it was like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? And her sources were bad sources. And the overall exploration of anything, there was no exploration of a question. It wasn't even really a crisis. She just wanted to say, my politics say this is bad. And so it was like, you're not even getting into the research of a topic. You're just coming to the table telling me what you already think about something. And that's not a research project any more than it would be a conversation. But look, Hunter, you and I agree. You and I agree on something. Does that bother you?
No.
You expected, he's going to yell at me about this, so I better bold and highlight and something. I feel like asking that question, is this a political book, immediately puts people on the defensive because of the word politics. It's so aggravating and entrenching to a lot of people. And not just nowadays, like I think a lot of times. You go back to the 1770s, and Americans, I don't know that we could have had an easy conversation about politics without triggering somebody in the family. Go back to the 1860s. I don't know that you could have had a conversation about politics without triggering somebody in the family. And so we're still like that. But, Solomon, are you probably going to have kids someday?
I mean, I'd hope so.
Hunter, are you probably going to have kids someday?
I plan on it.
Oh, God.
What worries you, Mr. Crockett?
Nothing.
Little hunters.
Little hunters. Hunter, do you want a good job?
Yes.
Yeah. Solomon, are you paying taxes?
Yeah.
Probably, right? When you turn 18, do you have to sign up for selective service?
I think so.
Yeah. Do you want to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of these, like, do you want good health care and good doctors? Do you want good schools to have to sit in and send your kids to and have your mom work in, right? All of those things mean politics matters to you. And the way we spend money, the way we get to vote, the conversations we get to have or not, that matters. So anytime Coach Haston or one of my friends and I are talking about books, I feel like a lot of times we kind of tiptoe into political areas, but not because we have an agenda. It's just, how can you talk about society without talking about some of these things? It just creeps up.
I mean, politics are literally just like what runs the world at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, like we can vote, but like to a certain degree, it's just the higher up people controlling everything that's happening.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, I'm not
Solomon,
saying,
you're bringing
I'm
me
not-
down a rabbit hole here. You better calm it down.
I'm not saying the world is like communist or whatever Hunter's talking about, but like I mean, we vote like people into an office, and then those people vote for other people, and those people vote for other things that happen and go to like the president or whatever.
Yeah.
It just all leads like up.
Yeah. Do you think your society is happier that you read or not? And when I say society, I am in this angle talking about the decision makers, the people in charge at whatever level, county, state, federal, whatever, shadow government, Illuminati, whatever. Are they happier that you read?
Some of them, like some of the lower level governments, I'd say like the county governments, I'd say most of them are pretty appreciative of people not being stupid. But when it comes to the higher ups, like the congressmen and senators and stuff, I'm not 100% sure I trust them of wanting what's best for us.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like it's human nature to do it like it's best for you. But if you're like a congressman or president or senator or whatever that is.
What's best for them is not always what's best for us.
Right. I mean, I'd say that there's some are better than others at what they do. I feel like I can't have a great political conversation because I don't know that much about politics. Because I feel like it hasn't applied to me until like soon. Like I'm paying taxes now, and it needs to apply to me more than it would. But I still have 2 years until I can do anything about what I think.
That's why Solomon brings me around places.
That bothers me so much to think, I still got 2 years before I have any say in what happens. Because even as a 45-year-old man, I feel like, okay, well, I can vote or I can, raise awareness about, I can volunteer. But I feel like a lot of times I don't know that I have a lot of say in what happens because you're just one member of a 300 million person society.
In the grand scheme of things, what's one person going to make a difference in? I mean,
There goes all the
It
hopefulness.
sounds sad and everything, but you have to
But I mean,
you have to look at it realistically. You have a 1 in 300 million shot of making a difference. Everyone
But
wants to make a difference.
you could easily be that 1 in 300 million.
Right.
You matter.
So everyone, they
Hunter,
need to make
you
an
matter.
attempt at least.
But I mean, you can compare that feeling to how, I guess, Montag, feels in the book. He has no power at all to choose because they've gotten rid of all of these amendments and the ability to vote. They've gotten rid of that ability to make a decision.
The reason why, another reason why I ask that, because this is a really good quote to bring up, is that it wasn't the government who originally got rid of the books in
It was
Fahrenheit.
the people, because they were like, oh, we don't want to read. And then the government took advantage of that, and then they started manipulating it and then just
took it too far.
forcing it.
Yeah.
And then it eventually evolved into this government overreach.
We gave it up, and then they took the opportunity. So therein lies the danger of it. And we're reading Julius Caesar right now, and I always used to love Caesar. Like, I can remember being in my sophomore English class, reading Caesar and loving it. And then I got to be a teacher, and I just, Caesar, loved it. But the more I've read it, Caesar's the bad guy because he and Captain Beatty are pretty similar. Caesar wants to keep promoting his agenda. And why does he hate Cassius?
Because Cassius is like a human thing. Like he's thinking.
He thinks too much.
Yeah. He says that in the thing.
Yeah.
That
He says
Cassius
he reads
thinks
too much. He thinks too much.
He's a dangerous man.
And
That's what he
Caesar wants
says.
to be surrounded by fat people that just eat out of his hand.
Yeah.
Well, that's Captain Beatty, right? And that's this whole society that's like, I'd rather you watch TV. I'd rather you sit behind the parlor. Caesar does not want to give you many choices. Give him one, or better yet, give him none. Well, that's the same thing as Julius Caesar. Solomon, what's another point you want to talk about on here? It could be anything. It could be anything. Whether it's one of these bullet points, it could be anything.
I've got some pretty cool stuff in here.
We're not talking. Okay, anti-communist propaganda, no. CNN versus Fox News, no.
We can talk.
Adolf Hitler, no. Joseph. These are not good things.
These
Hunter.
are pretty good points if you would read through them.
To be fair, I do agree that Bradbury is probably very concerned with megalomaniacs like Stalin or Hitler or any kind of demagogue that, like Caesar or Captain Beatty, steps in and is like, oh, they're happier being ruled and not thinking for themselves. Well, that gives me the opportunity to take charge. In that interview that we watched where he was being interviewed by the Big Read, Bradbury talks about the burning of books is really the burning of people. And in his lifetime, you see Adolf Hitler burning books, but also burning people. And it's a pattern that these tyrants follow over and over and over. Eliminating thought is eliminating people. And that's a huge concern to have.
Did we talk about what time the Fahrenheit 451 took place? I can't remember.
No.
Like when it was written. That's what I meant.
It was written in 1953, 54.
So this is like immediately after World War II.
Oh, yeah. This is Cold War.
Yeah. So they're scared of stuff like this.
Yeah.
There was the Red Scares that happened during this time.
Right.
They're all scared of the communists and everything.
The Red Scares happened the first one was in the 1920s, and then the other one was in, I believe, the 1970s or whenever the Cold War started.
But they're still afraid of Hitler figures in this time because it's just happened. I mean, he had tried to take over the world, and
And after World War II, you have the powers of the West, the United States, England, France, and then you had Soviets. So NATO versus Warsaw Pact, and they've split Germany into two pieces, but really they've split Europe into two.
Communist and capitalist.
Yeah, we're just
split it into.
Technically, we were allies during World War II, technically at the end, but really it was, we call it a Cold War because there was never an official flare-up of conflict, but we were using little states or little guerrilla entities as proxy wars against them and they against us. The terror was that we were going to launch nukes or they were going to launch nukes, and then it would lead to war. But you have nothing but proliferation and the amping up of war fear. And that's what you have in Fahrenheit, too. Constantly, the jets are going overhead. Constantly, there's the news interruptions about war. Even after her attempted suicide, Guy Montag is trying to talk to Mildred, and the planes are roaring overhead. And it's like you can't really have a conversation because war is all the time interrupting thought, conversation, whatever. So it's a reflection of that. We're not really in a Cold War nowadays, but do you feel like the world is unstable now?
It depends on what you mean by unstable.
Well, what do you mean?
I feel there's the war in Ukraine happening, and there's all that tension with Putin trying to do whatever Putin's trying to do. And then there's also Trump. Trump is
Didn't Putin surrender or whatever or stop attacking after?
I think they're in
Trump
a
was coming into office?
ceasefire at the moment, but I don't know.
There were attacks yesterday.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Well,
Because I saw a headline about that. Yeah. It's been a really ugly situation for that. But also, Russia, we've always looked at as a superpower on par with the United States and China. And they've been prosecuting a war in Ukraine and not able to close the book on it. It's been going very badly for Russia.
it's been, 4 years? 5
Yeah.
years?
And that would be like if the United States could
Take over Mexico or something.
take over Hawaii, something small.
well, I mean, Russia is also very well known at lying about their statistics of
Misrepresentation.
planes.
Yeah.
When we invented I believe it was the 5th gen aircraft, it was because the Russians had made the Su-57 fighter
Yeah.
plane, and they were like, oh my gosh, it's the best plane there's ever been, and we made
F-22.
F-22 just to combat it based off the stats they had said, and then we had strategically acquired one, and we figured out it's a load of crap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and if you're looking at something like Ukraine, parallel it to World War One. Do you remember what caused World War One?
The assassination of Archduke Franz
It wasn't
Ferdinand.
just that. There was a lot of
There was a
tension
lot of
in the
build-up.
Balkans between that.
But because of that happening, these two are going to war, and they're like, well, you get pulled in on it. Well, you get pulled in. And all of those really complicated entanglements caused World War One, and then fallout from that, lasting impacts from that brought out World War II. So it may seem like, well, it's just a conflict on the other side of the world. But so was Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Are we allowed to talk about Ukraine?
I don't see
Why would we not be? Would we
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
Are we allowed to talk about it? Because when I asked you, is this a political book, I think it brings people to hesitance, because it's like people hesitate to answer that because we feel on guard about it. I feel like a lot of people are on guard about talking about Ukraine right now. Am I wrong with that?
I mean, it's just a really tense situation, really. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it has the whole world, like, in awe. Like, it's the most recent, the closest we've come to, like, a World War III in the world.
Hunter, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I know for like the past, or I guess ever since it started, it had put the American people against each other, because some people are like, we stand with Ukraine, we're going to send them all this money. And then other people are like, we stand with Russia. Mm-hmm. And then there's kind of like a median in between that. And they're like, well, we stand with Ukraine, but we don't need to be sending them all this stuff over there. So it's just kind of put everybody kind of into a little Mexican standoff.
Right. I brought something up about it with my seniors, because it's like we're talking about Beowulf and monsters and really what we're talking about with that. And everybody felt like, they were, first of all, hesitant to talk about it because, like Solomon said, I don't know that I feel like I know enough about a situation to talk about it. What a great, wise thing to admit, I don't know that I know enough just yet, because the fool won't do that. Two, I feel like a lot of people have opinions about it and don't want to offend anybody by saying whatever, because it is a tinderbox that can strike something. But like Bradbury says also in this book, if we can't talk about everything, we can't talk about anything, right? And everything just falls apart with that. Hunter, what's another thing you want to talk about?
Well, we want to go back to Fahrenheit 451. I did grab the quote about Benjamin Franklin, where on page 32 it says, in established 1790 to burn English influenced books in the colonies. First fireman Benjamin Franklin. Where he's reading the sign about how the firemen started and how it's like complete lies that only we really realize because we have the benefit of
The outside knowledge.
outside knowledge. And it kind of just shows the government book banning has allowed the government to completely indoctrinate the entire society. And they're like, oh, well, Benjamin Franklin, he was a famous guy. He was a firefighter, and only we know that he was actually a very big reader. He had like his own private library.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But they're saying that, no, he hated books. He burned them.
So it's misrepresentation of the actual historical data.
And I mean, like, over time, like, facts can change. I don't know how far off this book is, but, like, in the book, I mean, they have, like, bombers that can end wars in, like, 30 minutes or whatever.
Right.
There's no reason for, like, actual, like, soldiers to go into war. It's just civilian casualties, really, and people giving up. So, I mean, like, this says in 1790. I mean, it's talking about Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was, like, as Hunter said, he, like, had his own library and everything. So he was not a fireman, really. He wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have been burning books that were, like, knowledgeable and useful to the human mind or whatever.
Right. Do you know how Ben Franklin was connected to firefighting or firemen in America?
I know he had something to do with it. I don't know specifically.
He established the first fire brigades, for the first organized fire brigades for America in the colonies. Yeah. Ben Franklin had the idea. But here it's being misrepresented as, he established the firemen. He didn't burn books. He established a firefighter squad to put out fires.
And Chief Beatty established that he knew that because he's read books too.
Prove it. Prove it.
He says, he admits to it.
How do you know?
I don't remember the exact quote. He says, every fireman does it, but...
True.
And he talks about how in the beginning, houses were originally not fireproof, and it was the firefighter's role to put out the fires.
Yeah.
But as soon as firefighters, or as soon as houses became fireproof, they kind of shifted the role of the firefighter with that development, I guess, lack of development where they're receding back from reading,
Yeah.
and it kind of just they switched roles.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Captain Beatty quotes scripture. He quotes from Hamlet. He quotes from books. How can he quote from these things unless he's read them before? And yet he's a burner of books.
He's still suffering from the government manipulation. I mean, you can be educated and still suffer from manipulation. It's just that it's a lot harder to be manipulated if you're educated, but it can still happen.
It can. And we live in a day and age where so much information is easily accessible at the touch of a button. And yet we live in a great age of misinformation. I mean, it's so easy to find it anywhere. I can go to ChatGPT right now and ask it. We did this yesterday. Tell me about Jason Crockett. And it tells you factual things about me, that I'm a teacher at White County High School, that I was involved in this, that I've been a part of that I'm recognized for this. And that spooked me because it was like, oh, yeah, based on what I found here and here and here. But it also said that I was involved with the Sparta Drive-In, which is not true. I'm not. You look at things like Wikipedia, right? Anybody can post whatever they want to on IMDb or Wikipedia. And those, as well as plenty of other sources, are great areas for misinformation. It's a dangerous zone. I know a teacher who was asking the group chat the other day. She was really worried. She said, I'm exhausted with having to defend and justify myself to the students when I'm talking about text evidence, when I'm talking about real world parallels. And I have students calling me out saying, that's not true. That's not real. I don't believe that. Okay, well, you don't have to believe it, but then they'll say the complete opposite. They'll spout lies and say, well, I read it, and no, I don't believe you. And it's like, how do you fight such idiocy? How do you fight such willful ignorance?
It's really hard to.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, because like you see these people that they're like, I've seen people that say that it was Russia that won World War II. It was their contributions that caused the war to end. And, well, I mean, they helped, but they did not end the war. They were talking about how Russia was the reason that Japan surrendered. And, like, no, we dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. And they're like, well, no, the U.S. did drop the 2 atomic bombs, but there was Russian forces filing up on the side of China and pushing into Japan. Well, Russia does not have a navy at this time. There's no possible way for them to get from China to Japan. And do you want to know how the Russians were going to get over to Japan?
Was it a land bridge?
No,
Mr. Crockett.
They were going to use U.S. boats. They were going to use the U.S. Navy to get the Russians over there.
That's crazy. Not balloons.
No,
How did you get there from handling ignorance in kids in high school?
I do not know.
Is this the blue pill or the red pill that you took to go down this rabbit hole?
I think it's both.
I took them both.
All right, we're in the end zone. What do you want to say before we wrap up? I know you had a billion things, but we're out of time.
I had a lot here.
Yep. Have you ever read 1984 by George Orwell?
I love 1984.
Yeah.
I want to read it so bad.
I read it in Miss Sullen's class last year.
That's right.
And it was it's a really good book. I
remember your mom telling me that she had encouraged you to read it. I would think you would like it too.
I mean, she told me we were talking about Fahrenheit 451, and she said if you like 1984, you'll like Fahrenheit. And it's
yeah. So there's a trifecta of like dystopias: 1984, Fahrenheit 451, and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. And it was always kind of like, which one of them really turned out that way. And part of me thought it was Fahrenheit, but the more I read 1984, I kind of feel like 1984 is the route that we're going.
Because 1984, you don't really know like what's happening to the people. I mean, it tells you kind of, but like we don't even have an understanding of that technology that they're using on them.
And it's the socialist agenda that's rewriting the world.
Have you read 1984?
No, I want to. I had actually seen.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything then.
There was this little it was one of the website or news outlets. I say that with air quotes.
Was it the fat electrician again?
No, it was one of those liberal news outlets that push. They push.
How dare they?
That push these topics that aren't necessarily 100% true. And it was an article, and it said the government or politicians are telling people that they really should not read books like 1984 and movies like Star Wars. And this guy was like, he was looking at the article and he's like, yeah, of course the government doesn't want you to read books and watch movies about rebelling against the government and like tyranny and stuff.
Tyranny and stuff. That's going to be another soundboard fight. No, I think you would really, I agree with Solomon. You would really like 1984. You should read it sometime.
Right there's our intro beat right there. Tyranny and stuff.
And if you
I'm
make
sorry,
you feel,
Mr. Crockett.
if it makes you feel better, Hunter, I did read that with a paperback book. It was on hand.
Good.
It was
I'm proud
authentic,
of you.
real reading.
It was real paper, real words, real everything.
I'm no longer disappointed in you.
Oh, God. What do you want to say before we start wrapping up? Any big picture takeaway ideas? Last comments?
Well, I was going to say, don't take anything at face value. You always want to go and do your own research, but make sure that research is from a good spot.
And not like approach it with an agenda where I will prove to you that I'm right. Because so often, God, I get approached by people where you get that comment thrown at you. Well, you do your own research. Doing your own research, like Hunter says, means actually like weighing and evaluating the evidence, even if it contradicts what you believed. Doing your own research is not just, see, I found one Wikipedia page that said I was right.
You have to look at it from like an outsider's point of view. You can't like influence your choices based on like that's just like, I can't think of the word. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't just need to be an outsider's point of view too. You also need to take in several different perspectives,
right?
Not just the one.
But I mean, like in your overall view, you can't look at it from like one side or the other. You have to be like right in the middle. Like if there's two choices, you have to like take what both of them have to offer and look at it with like a clear mind and understand what both have going on.
Oh, 100%. Be a good reader and a good judge
Yeah.
and evaluator of what you see in front of you. That only comes through, repeated wisdom and having a clarity of mind and probably being willing to admit I don't know everything and maybe I should be careful about what I'm listening to. Very good. What about you? Anything, your last takeaways? All the regrets you have of sitting with Hunter?
Sorry, Mr. Crockett.
His big thing is do not do a podcast with Hunter.
So I have a sound pad here, and one of the things that I'm going to do, one of the buttons is going to be Solomon going, I'm sorry, Mr. Crockett. So in the middle of an interview, I can just go, I'm sorry, Mr. Crockett.
And that's all for today's episode of With Honors.
Be sure to check in for the next episode.
This is Solomon.
And Hunter, signing off.
Signing off. I didn't know we were doing. I thought we were.
I didn't know if we're doing the whole sentence.
I panicked. Just signing off?
Just signing
Okay.
off.
Signing off.